Greetings from Cuyahoga Falls. My name is Jehovah. Welcome to War of Rights. It's Friday and we're having a special event. The UEC has decided it's battalion time, and we had a drill earlier, so make sure to catch that on Twitch or the YouTube channel. But today is also a special day because we have a special guest, Evan Hayes. Say hi to the channel, Evan.
Howdy, everyone. Super happy to be here. Thanks for having me on, and I know the Canopy Heritage is very excited to, we saw the drill, and it was fantastic, and now I'm excited to see those skills in action.
Yeah, you want to give everybody that didn't see the drill just kind of a play-by-play of who you are and who you represent and what you're here for?
Absolutely. So Canopy Heritage is an organization that's run by Chartwell Compliance, which is a division of MVB Bank, a bank based out of Fairmont, West Virginia. And our goal is to create strategies and ways that the financial industry can engage in meaningful preservation and conservation work. Our current area of operations is the Chesapeake Bay, and as such, we have an enormous set of programs aimed at preserving Civil War history and promulgating Civil War education, both because it's a good thing to do and also because, a lot of the big parks in the Chesapeake Bay are battlefield parks. And for every step that you put forward for Civil War preservation, you're also putting another step forward for environmental conservation, keeping watersheds clean, keeping wildlife from suffering from habitat loss. So that's what Canopy Heritage is all about, and we're excited to be here watching the stream because both myself and all of the people at Canopy Heritage absolutely love the channel, and we love War of Rights, and we love seeing the game be played with such historical acumen, and we're just happy to be here. To see the UEC go at it is a real pleasure.
Well, we are happy to have you, sir. Well said. And the battle starts at 40 minutes. And here we go. 39 seconds left. These guys are about ready to go out and open a can of whoop ass on each other. And you can see the 51st New York, the Serpents. Sergeant Ulti, also our boy Silver Smurfin there. Silver Smurfin, a long-time supporter of the channel. We appreciate it, my brother.
So we talked a little bit about the morale mechanics in the last video, or in the last part of the stream, and I'm wondering, could you explain, how the flag mechanic works? Because, I understand it, having seen a lot of this content, but for new people that might be bringing themselves into the channel, exactly how does the flag work? You see these people guarding the flag, and poor old Ryan gets gunned down, seems almost every stream. I feel like it's worth explaining to new people how important the flags are in maintaining the formations and really allowing you to prosecute battle more effectively.
I totally understand, and I agree with you. Speaking of James Ryan, there he is, holding that flag like he always does. So the flag in War of Rights, particularly, is a mobile spawn point. So when you spawn in the game, you spawn way back at the spawn point for each one of these armies, which is not near the point of contention, which you see the two little flags there. That is the point of contention. That's what you're trying to hold to win the match. So if you lose your flag, you have to spawn in way back over here. Now, if the flag is alive but out of line, you also cannot spawn on the flag. So your enemies are always trying to kill the flag bearers so that you have to spawn your people further away from combat. That gives them the advantage at the point of contention. Now, historically...
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I was just saying yes.
Well, I was going to say, historically, those flags were, originally flags were only there to represent individual companies from different counties and different states. It was a pride thing. A lot of these flags were made out of the wedding dresses of soldiers' wives, and colonels and things would bring in their own flags. It was a point of pride for these regiments. To lose their colors was a major blow to morale. For these guys. And though we don't get a direct morale hit in the game for losing the flag, you will certainly lose the ability to spawn at the point of contention, and that can cost you the match.
Well, it's a historical note. A lot of the hottest fighting in many of these battles took place in instances where, the Antietam maps, you know, there's that picture that's always referenced of bodies along the Hagerstown Turnpike, and in that instance, you know, the colors, the lines of battle are only a few yards away. You know, the devastation of the Civil War in part came from the fact that rifling barrels and you know, the mini ball and all of these technological developments allowed the killing power to increase at range. But that didn't mean that there were not parts of the battle where people were close enough to recognize each other's faces. And in those instances, you know, colors would be involved and they would change hands multiple times. And that's in a lot of cases where the fighting was the hardest because, as you mentioned, you know, these people, they wouldn't be issued a flag for their regiment or for their company. They would have it made, and it was a point of pride to keep it that way. And you know, it was a point of pride both to keep it pristine and also in some cases to say, you know, my regimental flag's it's got 36 bullet holes in it and it's seen every bit of the war. So, you know, I'm glad that that's represented in the game, even if not necessarily for morale. It does give purpose, and it's a good reason to keep it in the battle close to where the fray is, so that you can keep your troops spawning in and forming up and getting into the action as quickly as possible.
Yeah, that's a fact. And the idea that Campfire Games has really gone back. They had an update that was specifically for flags, and they've gotten less generic and more specific, and it's really beautiful to see these flags in action.
Yeah, I know. I love seeing the flag of the Irish Brigade. It's always a joy. You know, it's such a unique flag and very pretty, and to know that that same flag was being flown, you know, just to the south of the sunken lane when they crested and were able to lay that fire down, and it followed them around. You know, it's a real artifact. And you go to some of these museums and you can see the battle flags and the regimental flags that were being flown by different contingents of the army, and it's fascinating to know, you know, at some point this was carried by a person into the most hellish conditions that they would ever see, and it just brings it alive.
Yeah, and you know, at Antietam, the Hagerstown Turnpike that you brought up, the colors for the Louisiana were exchanged multiple times. Multiple flag bearers killed, and multiple people trying to capture those colors were also killed. Those men were firing each other directly across the lane. It was it's pretty amazing. And Rich Hogg just bringing up some of the history of his personal company, the 8th Florida, says that the entire color guard of the 8th Florida was killed in Antietam. And that happened multiple times. Yeah. It was an honor to be in the color guard.
Yeah, I was going to say it's both an honor and also one of the most dangerous positions because, as you mentioned, you know, especially with greener regiments, they kind of all just gravitate to firing towards one particular location. And in a lot of instances, corps commanders or division commanders would instruct, if they knew who their division was going up against, they would figure out what the flags being carried by the opposing side would be, and they would say, you know, to make sure that the entire division wasn't picking one particular spot, they would assign each regiment a particular flag that they should aim for to make sure that the fire was distributed. And so the color bearers were, in many ways, the bullseye target that you'd have 300 or 400 people aiming for. And you know what? People signed up to do it. They viewed it that way as something that it was an accepted risk as part of the honor.
And you'll see it in this game. When you see a volley, watch the flags. They'll always drop. That's what people are aiming for. Man, look how beautiful that Union line looks. And the 39th New York up front. Don't hardly get to see these guys. Captain David, welcome back to the channel. Don't record a lot on Fridays, and these guys don't get a chance to join us on Saturday. But a long-time member of the UEC, and looking forward to seeing them fight today in this battle. Although this is going to be a little bit different than a standard battle. This is a battalion battle, so the lines will be staying together as a mass. So you won't see as much of the maneuvering and the flanking that you normally would get. But we do get to see these massive lines of men go ham on each other.
Just a knockdown, drag-out slugfest.
Yep, absolutely. Here they come, the Confederates. You hear Lemuel Lewis there, guiding his men in. The flag bearers up front. Looking forward to see if we can give out one of those green hearts of valor today.
Second company hold. Second company.
So it looks like the Confederates are going to get the first fire out.
Number 5.
First company, take
About 150 on the server today, it looks like, Rich. And you can see the bodies starting to drop already.
And, you know, we were talking about this in the last, during the drill, about how in a lot of cases, the work of a battlefield trust or of the Park Service is spent after the land has been acquired, trying to bring it back to the way that it would have been. And you can really see why right now. You know, these stone walls, they don't just naturally gravitate to them in the game. I mean, if it's scary in the game, it would be 10 times as scary if you were actually there. And so any piece of fortification that they could find, these regiments would line up behind and try and get their grip into. And, you know, later on in the war, they would start building fortifications very, very quickly. As soon as they got a place to sit down, companies and individual soldiers would begin scraping out niches. But early on in the war, the armies were simply too mobile, especially in the Maryland campaign. They were basically chasing each other, and so there weren't very many fortifications. They took advantage of the natural features like the sunken road at Antietam, and in South Mountain, snake rail fences and stone walls like this are mentioned heavily in personal and regimental historians' accounts and in personal soldiers' notes and things. It's incredible how important even, you know, a few feet of stone can be.
Well, we talked about smoke and how it affected the battles as well. You can see it right here during this battle. The smoke moving from behind the Confederates to their front and left. And so the smoke creating a smoke screen that the enemy can't see through, but they really can't see through either. Ooh, flagman going down. That was James Ryan. Rip.
Just to be clear, they can spawn on both flags.
So basically when you come in, you're going to choose either the upper regiment or the lower regiment. Each one has its own flag. So technically speaking, if you spawn in as the upper regiment, you're supposed to go to that flag.
I understand. Looks like they're filing out.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to withdraw from this position. Again, the purpose of this as a battalion is not necessarily to win the match, it's to be historical. So these guys are really, this weekend, doing their best just to line up everybody the way they're supposed to. You see, they didn't just madly rush away from that line to a different position. They lined up, they got in formation, and they moved out. Alabama German Legion, large and in charge as usual. Captain Harris in command.
Ja, das ist ganz genau.
And these guys are all recruiting, so if you're new to the game or you want to get in, you want to hang out with a unit that is well disciplined, I would recommend the UEC. These guys do a great job every week. You know, they said when we first created airborne units in the United States, the reason people signed up to jump out of an airplane, well, one, it was more money, but two, you knew the guy fighting next to you was an elite soldier, not just some pub that was drafted in, and that's what you got here in these events as well.
And certainly not a coward.
That's right.
Start by failing out, and everything after that is a little bit lower stakes.
Well, I lived in Nashville for a long time, and we were not far from Fort Campbell, where the 101, the 101st Airborne Army base is. And I would ask those guys, you know, why would you jump out of a perfectly good airplane? And the comment I always got back from multiple people was, oh, the Army doesn't invest in good airplanes. Not for paratroopers. You want to jump out of that damn thing.
Well, you know, that goes to a little bit of our point about what we were saying earlier. You know, you have to wonder how many of the people in these armies back in the 1860s, both Union and Confederate, were joining up just because they knew that at least the Army can provide a steady job and pay, and you'll get to go somewhere you've never been. And for that matter, on campaign like this, the food in Maryland would be way better than the food in camp, just because you're walking through. If you're on the Union side, whenever you pass through a town, you're greeted as, the great defender, and people give you cakes and all sorts of goodies. And if you're a Confederate, you're in probably for the first time in the war somewhere that has been picked clean by pickets. And you can finally find a fresh apple on a tree, or a fresh ear of corn someplace.
Yeah, absolutely. Just watching the Confederates mull out of here, and I don't see the Union doing a whole lot to chase them around. You see this formation they've got going here, though. This wheel, it's pretty intense. Yeah, it's to say as well, this is an important point about the Confederate Army specifically. The Confederate Army, a lot of people don't know this, actually started a draft well before the Union Army. So a lot of the Confederate soldiers after 1861 were actually drafted into the Army. And if you wore a Confederate uniform, you didn't get these 30-day papers. You were pretty much in for the war. And so they actually put teams together to go through towns and get any available young man and put them in a uniform to bring them to the Army. So it was really aggressive, and a lot of guys actually signed up themselves because they didn't want to just be thrown into some disorganized unit. They wanted to fight next to their comrades, people they grew up with. And so a lot of them actually would volunteer to actually miss the draft.
Yeah, and that goes to the point about the Union Army as well. It's interesting to think about the composition of the Army of the Potomac changed so much over the war, and at this point in the Maryland campaign, it's getting its first major batch of volunteer regiments that joined up at the beginning of the war, and also of bondsmen, people who basically joined because the government would pay you $300 and say, okay, maybe you were in a county jail in rural Pennsylvania. If you join the Army, you can get $200 and your record is expunged. And so the Army of the Potomac was in a very large period of flux here, where you had regulars, Army men who had been in the forces since before Fort Sumter, at a very high degree of professionalism. You had people who volunteered and joined up, and the people who were mainly running away in Bull Run and weren't being able to prosecute the Peninsula Campaign nearly as well because they had no experience. And then this new contingent of folks that were basically, in many ways, bribed into the service. And there was a lot of tension between these units. There were a lot of tension between veteran regiments and new ones. They'd call people straw feet and say that, they didn't know how the difference between left foot and right foot unless you tied straw on one end and hay on the other end. And, a lot of jibes, and it was a very, very strange time to be in the organization. Whereas the Army of Northern Virginia, was also in flux, but at the same time, it had been a fighting unit that had more or less stayed cohesive, had the same commanders and things. And, by this time, McClellan had been put in charge and then removed from command and then put back into charge.
Yeah, it's an interesting fact because the way that, you think about it in a more European mindset, because they're actually different armies with different commanders at the head of these armies. And then what ended up happening after Pope had the disastrous Second Manassas is that Lincoln said, okay, just fold all those guys under McClellan and we'll let him have command of the army at that point. But look at the bodies here. But, to that point, the Union Army, very happy when McClellan came back into command, because he, you can say what you want to, but he could build an army.
Yeah,
couldn't fight with
the
it, but he
morale
could
under
use it.
McClellan, even after Peninsula Campaign and some of the bloodiest days, was in many ways the highest morale that the Army ever had. Even under Grant, they all recognized him as a capable commander and a fighting commander, but there was no, to put it the way that one soldier put it, the military pride was gone. At that point, it was just a fight.
Yeah, I think everybody had glory in their mind. You got to remember, these are the grandchildren of revolutionaries right here.
Yeah.
All of these guys their grandpas fought in the American Revolution to create a self-governing society that had never really, existed before. So they had a lot of pride, whether you be on the Union or the Southern side. They both had their sense of pride in what they were doing. And there's not many Union soldiers that joined that army for political reasons. They did it to fight with their friends. They did it for the excitement. They did it for the glory. But then once they were in, it was a whole different ball game.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
Oh, I
again,
hate to do it, but I do need to hop off to meet with the rest of the folks from Canopy and to debrief them on this. I'm going to tell them it's been wonderful and that they should all come on as soon as possible. It's really been a pleasure, so thank you so much for having me on. And I'll be sure to watch the rest of this battle as soon as it's up, because it looks like it's shaping up to be something pretty awesome.
all right, man. Well, thank you for being here. We really do appreciate it. And come back again. We'll do this again sometime.
Absolutely. I'll get the Civil War Institute and the American Battlefield Trust on the horn, because, seeing this, I don't think that anyone could deny that this is an excellent thing to see. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Thank you, and have a great day, buddy.
Absolute. You too.
All right, guys. It's just us again. Special thanks to Evan for coming out. It was a great time. Hopefully we get him back out again. Gets awful lonely just talking by yourself. It's nice to have a friend with me. All right, this battalion event is well underway. You can see the guys in formation.
Right dress, right dress.
Schön seht ihr aus.
8th Florida in the van.
And on the right, into line, battalion guide right again along the stone wall in the
Parkington, where you
cornfield.
going?
I want a little bit of cover if we are going to face these guys. So,
Well, they'll have the help, but I think it will negate the cover. To be honest.
sure, but let's do a little bit of difficult maneuvering. I mean, this is not really about winning, is it?
No, it's not.
All right, let's take the downtime,
Oh, man.
and then I will give the commands to the other companies. On
Da kamen 40% Reinforcement ran.
8th Alabama, large and in charge. We got the 56th
Gut, jetzt machen wir
Virginia,
dasselbe wie
18th North Carolina, and the 8th Florida on the Confederate side. The Union licking their wounds a bit. A lot of blood and gore. You see all the bodies laying here in the dirt. And the Union back on the road, ready to move out one more time. 52nd New York in the vanguard. There's Captain Frank.
First company, forward, march!
Again, this week you're not going to get all of the maneuvers and things that you would see in a normal battle fighting for the point of contention. Todd had said it himself there. It's not about winning this case. It's about being historically accurate and marching around the field, staying in formation, looking pretty. And the UEC excels at that. You see Fritch and the boys from the 8th Florida on the right flank.
Where are they?
So I am just preparing us.
They're
so
not
we're
there
ready.
yet. We're just they're ready.
Okay, dann bleibt.
They say prepare to fire. I assume that means they're gonna ask to fire soon.
Keep it quiet.
And you can see, yeah, crack Confederate troops is, you got that right. Let's do some cinematics, shall we?
Right dress, Leute, right dress. Oder kannst du mich mal wieder rauslassen? Ich komme irgendwie gar nicht mehr weiter.
Zengan, right dress.
Danke.
Neil, aber
Right
erst
dress.
wenn ihr steht. Erstmal.
Right dress.
Nee, die Links hier müssen noch nicht runter. Hier erstmal rechts ran.
Das ist kein Battalion, okay, alles klar. Alles ab.
Ja, erstmal aufrücken, dann runter.
Okay, right dress.
Every other
Here,
first.
Und
Right
unten
dress.
bleiben.
Trump.
The bugle.
See that man just
I hear their bassoon.
jumping up and down with anticipation.
Was geht's los?
Kubbel, kubbel.
Hey, Tim Tracy got, he's a private now in the 8th Florida. Tim Tracy, one of the original 7th
I think
Tennessee
they're
Company
right
E.
just behind the horizon.
We don't forget. Great soldier, great friend.
Yeah, through the open field.
Sure he's having fun with the 8th Florida. That's why we're here, guys. If you want to join a regiment and you have a European timestamp, any of these companies would be happy to have you. All right, the Union on the move.
Stehen beim Sergeant.
Estendete, vi estendete.
Genau, schön nach vorne kommen, hier bis mir ran. Richtig bis zu mir ran.
Press company.
Sehr gut. Genau so.
So it looks like Oswald's going to go out and
Sehr schön, ja.
Sieht sehr gut
try to
aus.
find the position of the enemy.
Battalion.
Second company.
He's a little stuck on the wall here. Don't know if that's a server thing or what. He's doing some, this is 1862 aerobics right here. Step, step, step. You can do it. Oh, then he disappeared. All right, so the Union Army is on the move. Livingston out front.
That's just scouts ahead. Don't shoot the scouts.
You can see they got some scouts out. You can see.
Hallo. Wir wollen fragen. Ich glaube schon den Armen.
Ja, ihr dürft euch jetzt ergeben, möchtet.
Also ihr könnt mit folgender Nachricht zu euren Leuten zurückkehren.
Oh no! Oswald, that's a war crime!
Jesus Christ. They just asked us to surrender.
Oh my god.
I gave them our message.
Oh man, something lost in translation there. I don't know German, but I don't think I surrender means shoot me in the face. I could be wrong. Here they come. And the Confederates unleashing a volley on the Union out in the open field. You can see the bodies already dropping.
Second company.
And the 39th New York here on the left flank. Taking some heat. Look how beautiful the men running to line up. And the Union sending in a volley of their own. I saw one Floridian going down there. A couple of them. Can't see the rest of the line because of the smoke. Speaking of, oh, you know what? I need this shot right here. I don't know if the smoke will let me get it. This would be a perfect spot for what I need if the smoke would clear. Boy, they got a large opening in that line. Oh my god, that left line is being completely decimated by the Confederates. 52nd New York taking it hard. 3rd Brigade together here and just getting completely wiped out. Look at the bodies.
Fire by battalion.
Firing by company.
And the Confederates still nestled snugly behind their stone wall.
Take aim, boys.
Ooh. Volley coming in. A lot of rounds going high. A lot of Confederate rounds going low. But you hear it. The Union is now engaged. 14-19 left in the match. And boy, oh boy, the Confederates, they've got some cover here, but they're not wasting a lot of mini balls, I'll tell you that. A lot of targets laying on the ground here.
Oh my god.
They must be charging.
Here they come.
Here they come.
Run away.
You heard it. Oh my god. Yeah. And the counterattack. Polly West going down. Oh man. And the Stormtroopers. 8th Alabama. Here come the 8th Florida as well. Mighty 88 coming up. And the Union line has been disintegrated. Great move by the Confederates. Not a lot of Union left alive. They're trying to regroup.
Anyone left of the battalion?
No.
This is it.
Wow.
Second earlier by... Christian heißt er genau, einfach.
So the Union having a hard time so far. Confederates taking their previous position.
No, I'm reloading.
Somebody get a shovel.
Now I can do it.
Jeez.
There we go.
Yeah. 1 in 4, I believe, is the number. So if you hear a casualty, I think the average number was 1 in 4. So that meant 1 out of 4 casualties was a death. And you can see there's a lot of death on this field already. Most people actually died from sickness and disease. So when you see casualty reports, for Antietam, for example, 27,000 and change in one day, you know, a quarter of those were actual deaths on the field. The rest of them were wounded or missing. And a lot of those poor guys that would end up dying eventually would die in camp of dysentery and other diseases. Pretty nasty.
In einer einzigen dicken Linie.
So 8th Florida in the van again. Looks like they're changing sides of the line.
Da ist das Massengrab aus dem Leichter.
Battalion. Right wheel into column. Right wheel into column.
First company, right?
And guys, I think I'm only going to get one of the battles today. We did get the drill, so that was good as well. I apologize. It is Friday. I got to get back to work. Thank you to my bosses for allowing me to jump out for a couple hours and get these awesome events going. And if you didn't get a chance to see that drill, it's a good time to do it.
Yeah.
After you watch this, of course. Right, James Ryan's got his flag back.
Move out, 4th company.
No Green Hearts of Valor today, I don't think. I doubt you're going to have anybody running out to get their flag today from the enemy, but we'll see.
At the double.
I think they're working hard to try to keep those flags on their own side. And without the normal amount of maneuvering that you would get, you're going to see fewer flags hit the ground and stay in there for any kind of length of time. Yeah, I don't know if Evan's going to come tomorrow or not. I'd like to get him out on Saturday. I got him out here today, asked him to come today because the battalion event is a little bit more historical than a regular event. But we're just trying to get more eyeballs on the channel, get more eyeballs on the UEC, get more eyeballs on War of Rights. And if we can get more people watching, get more people in the game, then we can have larger events. But I agree with you, Rich. Saturday is always a lot more action. Battalion events are not there for the action necessarily. We all know that. It's there for the beauty of this game, man, and really showing if you're dedicated to a company, what you can achieve inside of this game. And if you're a history nerd like us, what more could you ask for? Yeah, we hope so, man. You know, Rich says it's great to see people are noticing the channel and the events. I totally agree with you. You know, we're doing it the right way. We're trying. We're not buying subs. We're not buying views. That is a thing that you can do. But we've been grinding in the UEC for over 2 years now, and almost to 1,000 subs. So we're doing it the right way. We may not be the biggest channel or the most watched, that's for sure. But we're doing it honest, and we're trying to bring you this game for what it really is. Not just a first-person shooter where you get to relive your most racist fantasies like a lot of the people on pub servers do, but more on the fact of this is 19th century warfare, and when you look at the maneuvering of these companies, you can really see the detail that the game has. Yeah, and again, thanks to Evan for coming out, man. And you see a flagman going down. That's James Ryan again. Jesus, man. What a target. And the Union now putting some heat down on the Confederates from long range. That 3rd Brigade's going to want to get some revenge on these Confederates.
Damn.
Reload.
And no one's picked up James' flag. Oh, there it is. Okay.
Come on, mate.
Firing by battalion. Firing by company. Firing by company.
Eggman is gefallen.
Command.
Third company.
At the ready, guys.
And you hear the huzzah. We're all tied up. 7:46 left in the match. And you see the 3rd Brigade just taking it, man, on that Union right. They are just getting pummeled over here.
First company, hey.
I bet Frank and Toby are going to be trying to change sides of this line before it's over with. They are taking all the heat. Captain David himself having to grab the flag.
Ihr
You
schafft
can see Oswald, killer with the bayonet. He's got his spectacles out.
First company loaded. Battalion, hey.
Major in the UEC. You can see from this distance, Confederate guns still accurate.
Fire.
nicht zurück.
Oh man, Jesse's got a horn out today. And Frank is like, where's my line?
Left pressing. Eine Fahne down.
Colonel tot.
Short arms.
Oh my God, the 52nd, 2nd Delaware. 3rd Brigade, they got the target for the day. That's for damn sure.
Hier sind die Kompanie.
Oh, thank God we're getting the fuck out of here.
I'd be saying the same thing. Man, everywhere the Union goes, the Confederates paint a nice, pretty blue line. Jeez. You can see why the guys were excited to get out of this position. So the Confederates really doing it well with the musket today.
Aim above their heads.
And you can see they don't have any more cover than the Union did in that last position, but I don't see as many bodies laying on the Confederate side as I do on the Union, so Confederate gunners really getting the best of the Union today so far. And I'm being facetious, of course. All these guys shoot really, really, really well. Just for some reason, the 3rd Brigade's got all the magnets in their pockets today, drawing all that lead toward them. I don't know if lead's magnetic. It was just a, it was a metal. It was a joke about metal. Let's see if the Confederates can do it again. Union standing in the bodies of the Confederate previous line. And we'll see if the Union can put some dents in that butternut and gray line out in front of us.
Left wing. Left wing. Aim.
See the boys in the distance there. It's hard to shoot at elevation. And you can see a bunch of those shots probably going over the heads of the Confederates. Say the Confederates have an advantage. They are shooting uphill. I don't know if that's an advantage or not, actually. I mean, even Obi-Wan said he had the high ground, right? We saw how that turned out for old Anakin Skywalker. Well, Darth Vader.
This is just me and Prof.
And if you're new to the channel, you might be wondering, why is this guy talking about Star Wars in a Civil War game? Well, I'm an idiot, and I talk about a lot of stuff, so just here to have fun.
Brasidas, tutta a sinistra, vai tutta a sinistra.
Where is the...
And the Union pouring lead into the Confederates. Confederates not moving. Although both sides are engaged. First Lieutenant Mallow's got an impeccable jacket here today. Look at this guy.
First company.
Looking good, First Lieutenant.
Second company, aim.
Second company, aim. Fourth company, take aim.
Fire!
I think Todd's calling for the bayonet, and I think the Union's coming too. Let's see where they meet in the middle. We'll go with the Union as they march to certain death.
Second Company an der Fahne orientieren, die ist beim Sergeant.
Danach wieder ein gutes Stück links, nach diesem Heuballen.
Ci sono io in mezzo.
Oh, ja,
And the Confederates watching the blue line come their way. They're coming out with the bayonet.
God.
You hear the you hear the Union officers not too thrilled about what they're seeing here. These guys usually so maneuverable, not so in a battalion event. They've got to stay in line. Oh my God, a huge volley from the Confederate line.
First Company, take aim. Second Company, aim. Second Company, aim. First Company, fire.
See if the Union can answer.
Second Company, fire.
Okay, ich bin wieder da.
We have a hole here.
Yeah.
You got that right. Courtesy of the Confederate Army. Let's see, we got guys running back in from spawn. And Harris and the boys got the stickers out. This is the 8th Alabama, and this is historically accurate. They didn't always rush into battle with a bayonet. They did it at a walk, but they're running now. Here they go. We'll go with them. Confederate Army attacking the Union. 1:20 left in the match. Oh, they stopped. Point blank fire into the Union line. Oh my God, they laid them down like dominoes there. Half strength with one volley.
Take aim.
Company break reloads and charge.
Oh, but the charge, it was a fire and charge. Here they come, the Confederates with the bayonet. And the counterattack by the Union coming down the hill. This is it for the battalion event for today. I want to thank all of you for coming and joining us here. Thank you, as always, to the UEC for their incredible battles. Guys, I wish I could stay away or stay around for the second one. Not going to have an opportunity today, but an amazing event. Always beautiful to watch these guys and to see all the hard work that they put in to be so good. You don't get this way by hanging out on pub servers, guys. You got to join an event. You got to join one of these companies. Everybody's recruiting. Get in here and let's have some fun. Thank you all for coming. Thank you all for being here in the stream today. I really do appreciate it. And you can see the server lag is something fierce right now. But we've got a Confederate victory. So congratulations to the Confederates. And thank all of you. Until next time. Well, let's actually watch. Let's see the numbers first, and then we'll call it out.
The 5th North Carolina were easily cut down in their exposed advanced position in an open field. And all along the line, the Ohio regiments began to charge directly into the sparse remaining defenders along the Wood Road, scattering and disintegrating most of the Confederate regiments. The 5th Virginia Cavalry and the 2 guns of Pelham's battery retreated into the woods to get away from the bayonets and enraged Ohioans who screamed in a murderous rampage behind them. The only remaining regiment of Garland's original command was the 13th North Carolina, which, with the help of Bondurant's battery as well as the 2nd and 4th North Carolinians from G.B. Anderson's command, desperately held off the Union troops at Wise's Cabin, using the stone wall around Wise's Garden as their own Alamo against the Blue Tide. They too would fall and retreat from the battlefield with Fox's Gap firmly under Union control. Farther northwest on the other side of the National Road, which was one of the oldest infrastructure projects completed by the federal government 50 years prior, was Hooker's 1st Corps, and in particular General John Hatch's division. Their attack would attempt to outflank the sparse defenders at Turner's Gap by moving farther north via the Frosttown Road, allowing them to avoid most of the Confederate firepower positioned in a crossfire against any that might attempt to push directly against Turner's Gap via the National Road. If successful, McClellan could potentially pincer D.H. Hill's lone division from two sides, and even cut off his escape back to Boonesboro.
Of course, that didn't happen because McClellan, although he could build an army, he sure could not use one. All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining us today. Again, special thanks to our guest, Evan Hayes, Canopy Heritage, really coming out and having a great time with us today. We're going to do that more. I like hanging out with Evan, and I think he brought some real good information to the stream today. So thank you, man, for really being here. I appreciate that. Not to mention everybody in the UEC. Thank you all once again. And if you're new, if you're thinking about buying this game, just do it. Just buy the game, and we'll get you in one of these companies, especially if you have a European timestamp. These guys also allow North American players in. So we'd love to see you over here. Until next time, my name is Jehovah, and I will catch you later.